evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
Welcome to Post Raw number 113, as we broadcast live from a very, very snowy North New Jersey. Wow, there's a lot of snow outside.
I really hope that, the power doesn't go out because I will go crazy.
Yeah, we've been getting power surge now that it's starting to just get really super, super heavy. And we definitely have at least 16, 17 inches outside at least. It's
I would say
pretty
for
crazy.
Now, yeah, absolutely. We're supposed to get up to 2 feet by this morning, right?
Yeah.
This
we're supposed to get, it kept fluctuating. It kept saying 17 inches, 20 inches, and it went down 15. So, but it's given me a lot of opportunities to get out there with my brand new snowblower, which is a ton of fun.
Listen, you prayed for it. You're like, I want a big snowstorm, and you got your big snowstorm.
I got my big snowstorm. I got my really big snowstorm, and it's been excellent. I even got to help out the neighbors because I just love getting the snowblower out now. It's so much fun. Well, anyway, we say hello to everybody today here in the chat room as they are joining us for Post Raw number 113, the fallout from the Royal Rumble, which is always traditionally a slam dunk show. Usually, traditionally, the Raw after Royal Rumble is always excellent.
Right.
Last year, they gave us Orton and Edge and the big angle there. Tonight, we had Orton versus Edge in a match. A couple of years ago, they did Asuka versus Sasha Banks, which was a really good match. That was from Philadelphia in 2018. I just remember it was a very good match, and of course, Sasha Banks almost died in it because it wouldn't be a Sasha Banks match without it.
No, definitely not.
Even if Sasha's not doing the dying, somebody always almost dies in a big Sasha Banks match. So, Carmella, again, taking, face full of the mat.
You're crazy.
No, I am honest. That's exactly what happened.
You are true. That's true. You are just a very honest individual.
So, let's say hello to everybody in the chat room before we get started. All right. Let us say hello. So I'm trying to figure out where the heck we went live here. All right. So we got, it's Nafis Sadat, our buddy in the chat room tonight.
Hello.
We have... Oh, Jamel. Jamel's here with us tonight. Heck, okay. It's CJ Bowman is here.
Hello.
All right. Juan Alarcon is here,
Hello.
as is Daniel Shell and Jorge Oliva. Hola, familia Tedesco. Happy Pie Day. So giddy for this. Oh yeah, you gotta get our pies ready here.
Oh my God, no, stop! I don't think we have any pie though.
We have to have pie. We have whipped cream.
I don't know.
We do. We promised it last week with the delivery.
Gosh, I'm not prepared though. Please,
I know, because
everybody.
the snow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. One of us correctly called the winner of the Royal Rumble.
All right, shut up.
I should have picked Edge last time. Did I not pick Edge? I picked Daniel Bryan,
You
right?
took Daniel Bryan.
Okay.
But you told me to pick Edge, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna go by what you say. Just because I'm not gonna, I feel like that wasn't a fair thing.
I tried to help you.
No. It was. I didn't want your help. If I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down
Well, you went down, all right. Quentin Walter is in the chat room tonight. Oh, you did. Quentin Walter's in the chat room tonight. Here we got Uncle Billy. We got Andrew Elder. We got.
Oh, Andrew.
Oh yes.
He was just egging me on this week.
We got Graham Costigan Cripps here. We got Grash here. We got Trevor Mishke. We got a lively group here tonight.
Andrew was egging me on this week on the Facebook page.
Yeah, well.
Andrew, what were you doing?
Andrew is living on the list.
He's just he is the list.
He is the list. There's no one who has embodied the list or embraced the list more than Andrew Elder.
And you know who made the list tonight too?
Who?
Uncle Billy.
Uncle Billy made the list.
Yeah, Uncle Billy.
Why? Sweet Lou in the chat room.
Uncle Billy texted me. And goes, I love you, but I can't with the Miz segment, LOL. You can't put an LOL, Uncle Billy, next to it and think that that's okay. So you're on the list, Uncle Billy.
She's on the list. Goosey's here tonight. we got Goosey here in the chat room.
Hey.
I don't know if I said hello to Goosey yet, so let's say hi to him. All right. Well, we got a good show here to talk about tonight. Finally, at long last.
Praise the wrestling gods.
Praise the wrestling gods. I was pretty over the moon last night on the Royal Rumble post show, and I forget who said it, but they said, keep Mike away from tall buildings and ledges because the crash after the Royal Rumble on Raw is going to be really hard. But you know what? They delivered us a very good show, a very, very good show. And just like at the Royal Rumble last night, I mean, really like a main component of the show, because they have gone balls deep in on this Fiend garbage, is restraint in using that character now. Restraint. They restrained, from using him at all really last night. They did like a quick little thing with Alexa Bliss, and then she was over the top rope, and that's the end of her. Tonight, I was really convinced. I was super, super convinced that we were going to get Edge versus Randy Orton, and it was going to be like Triple H versus Randy Orton, where Edge just disappears and they have some fucking bullshit going on. Nobody ever got an update on Triple H after that. Nobody gave a shit.
No.
Nobody gave a shit.
Nobody cares.
My
good friend Paul. I'll give him a call later.
See how he's doing. Your good friend Paul there. But they showed incredible restraint again, and I gotta tell you, I'm a happy camper. You're not gonna get any sadness from me over that one. So we can jump into this Raw tonight. Also, another really good thing about this show. Nobody doing double duty tonight. Like for the last couple shows, it's like they have been absolutely short staffed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, they didn't have Keith Lee last week. No Keith Lee at the Royal Rumble because Mia Yim, his real life girlfriend, tested positive for COVID. So it just stands to reason if she tested positive and they're in a relationship and living together, that he cannot be part of this. Well, so that sucks.
Doing the right thing, it sucks, but they're doing the right thing.
Right. But, because of that and a couple other things, like I noticed that Mace wasn't out there tonight at Retribution, even though he was involved in their segment backstage. No double duty tonight. They had Sheamus working multiple matches. Jeff Hardy worked multiple matches a couple times. It's enough. Yes. So let's talk about this show, because I'm actually excited to talk about this. And, I'm just glad I don't have to rant tonight. I don't have to get angry about this show. I
probably will get angry at something.
Well, I mean, there's going to be something stupid, but I don't feel like ranting tonight. There's no reason to. There's no reason to, because it's not a gimmick. When I rant, it's like, this show sucks.
Yeah, it's really not a gimmick.
This show absolutely sucks, and I can't. And I have
throwing it out there.
And I have to explain
really is
why.
It's really not a gimmick thing.
No. I think when you listen to the rants, it's like.
There's a lot of
well laid out arguments there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Anyway,
I don't think you rant for the sake of ranting. It's just it's really more of a venting situation.
And Quentin Walters doing our advertising for us. Please like and subscribe if you're watching us for the first time.
The best.
Mashoon Walls is here in the chat room. Lamar Lott, hello. How are you doing? We're doing well, thank you, Lamar. Little frostbitten. You can see my cheeks are a little rosy tonight from being outside. But you know how it is. Okay, so. Let's talk about this Raw, the fallout from the Royal Rumble. I had an interesting text exchange with a friend of mine today who was really, really bummed out following the Royal Rumble. And I'm like, how? How can you be bummed out after last night's show? How? And they were like, well, it's... this is. I didn't know it was the early 2000s again. We got Edge and we have Edge and Randy Orton in the final two, and Edge, who's approaching 50, is now the number one contender. It's like, yeah, but what about the women's Royal Rumble? It's like it had to have taken a lot for Vince McMahon. Well, even though Vince McMahon, it was confirmed, was not at the Royal Rumble last night, probably the first Royal Rumble he's ever missed since its inception in the late 80s, most likely due to the death of his brother Rod. But it had to take a lot for him. I mean, Vince signs off on everything.
Yeah.
Even though Paul Levesque was running the show last night, it takes Vince still has the final say, and for Vince to say, okay, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley is the final two in the women's Royal Rumble. Okay, let's go with our young talent here. I don't think that they're gonna give us Mustafa Ali and Keith Lee. Those the two young guys that come to my mind.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna give us that in men's Royal Rumble. But this was a good story. It made sense. Yes, Edge is 46 or whatever he is now. Randy Orton is 40, but the story behind it made a lot of sense and was actually really good.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't on the show last night, so, the post-show for the pay-per-view, so I didn't get to really talk about, like, my thoughts on the Rumble. But I don't mind somebody like Edge. First of all, I'm not, like, and I'm not saying, obviously, your friend is, like, an ageist type person, you know what I mean? Like, they want to give the young talent, the opportunity, which I get. I totally am all for that. I'm not saying that. But Edge is kind of, like, one of those rare exceptions where they're not falling back on him. It's not like he's been, I'm not saying he hasn't been in the company a long time, but he hasn't been in the company for a lot of years, obviously, with his neck injury and everything. And there was, I think a lot of people had in their mind, like, he's not coming back. He retired from wrestling and, really
Absolutely.
It was shocked to everybody that he's doing what he's doing now. And it's kind of a miracle that he was clear to be able to perform. So with him, he's one of those exceptions where you can kind of give a free pass of, it's kind of like this resurrection of Edge and just getting that opportunity, and you can get behind it because of the story, and because it's not like he's been in the company for like all these years and they've been giving him push after push after push and just opportunity and kind of relying on, him just in general. They're not relying on him. He's not like one of those guys who's just been around forever. Because he's come back, it's kind of like he is brand new,
Yeah.
So for me,
what's old is new again.
Yeah, with this opportunity is incredible and really compelling stuff.
And honestly, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who would argue. Yes, the execution of last year's Last Man Standing match with Randy Orton, when it was all said and done on night 2 of WrestleMania, where we were kind of already on no audience, fatigue. It going almost, I think they went 40 minutes in that match, and it was just too long. But I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who could honestly disagree that if they put Edge and Randy Orton in the main event of that year's WrestleMania on one of those shows, on one of those nights, that it wasn't a deserving match.
Oh, it was totally
and no one was crying about their age last year.
He's not waltzing in like, oh, hey, you better give me all this. It's amazing for him. You really genuinely thought, like, he's not, even Daniel Bryan, Daniel Bryan had retired, and for him to be back, like, if he had won last night, I would have been genuinely happy,
Absolutely.
Because,
absolutely.
Again, he's this guy, and
that's a great story as well.
He's not as young, he's not as old, and again, I'm quoting old, as Edge, but you know what I mean, like, he's not necessarily young either, you know what I mean? So, but for him to win, that's another, like, wow, Daniel Bryan, somebody who was not going to wrestle ever again.
Absolutely.
He's wrestling.
Absolutely.
I'm still hoping, like, one day, like, maybe Paige can wrestle again, you know what I mean?
I don't know
likely,
about hers.
Yeah,
but
these miracles are happening.
Yeah, you had Christian return last night, from career-ending concussions and stuff like that. It's possible for Paige to return, but I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure, and especially with the Twitch stuff, I don't know if they'd want to go with her right now.
But you know what I mean? Like, I'm a never say never type person, and having Edge involved and Edge with this opportunity, I'm all for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's say hello to Roy Nemmer in the chat room tonight. We got Roy here, and I thought I saw somebody else in there, but I don't know. Oh, I Am Alpha. That's right. I Am Alpha is also in here. Hello. Yeah, so to be down on Edge, it just, it's like, come on. I wasn't happy when Goldberg came back, but, Goldberg's not going to be appearing. Goldberg's certainly not going to wrestle on Monday Night Raw. Edge definitely has a little more gas left in the tank where they can utilize him well.
Oh, for sure.
I think the build to this year's WrestleMania, which I do think that Edge is going to be facing Roman Reigns. It's been floated around online today that it's going to be Edge and Reigns, but you could really see that they were, kind of closing Edge off on Raw. You could have easily gone into the next pay-per-view, whatever that is, Elimination Chamber or Fastlane, with Edge versus Randy Orton and kind of just build that out a little more and end it, if he were to choose Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
But they they blew it off tonight.
Yeah, they did.
They sure did. They even gave him a video package on the show.
They did. Absolutely.
And no Christian appearing, but I think they said that Christian's going to take on more of a part-time role where he's wrestling. I could easily see Christian being like the foil to Jey Uso whenever Jey Uso gets medically cleared to compete again in the Roman Reigns feud. So it's like Christian will be Edge's Jey Uso in that sense.
Yeah,
which is kind of an
smart.
odd way for Christian to come back after all these years of being off, and he's still the sidekick at the end of the day. But I mean, you hear about, how Vince felt about Christian for most of his career. It was a legitimate thing that Vince speculated, like, can we have him wrestle in a green mask and, computer generate a blue dot over his face, because Vince hates Christian's face.
That's terrible.
That's
terrible.
I would actually love to see that. I'm not gonna lie.
Looking guy. I mean,
I don't think Christian's a bad looking guy at
all.
Actually,
I mean, if somebody hating your face that much.
I mean, if when he had the long hair, he was actually he looked weird. But when he cut it short, I remember I was like, wow, he's not a bad looking guy.
No, he looks good.
Not a bad looking guy at all. So yeah, Christian. I think they're going to be doing some stuff on SmackDown.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
And probably we'll see him the closer to WrestleMania. We'll probably see him more in the next few weeks.
Now, every single Roman Reigns title defense has been some sort of gimmick match, a last man standing, I quit Hell in a Cell match. Couldn't just be in a Hell in a Cell match. It'd be an I quit one.
I quit, yeah.
We had cage matches. They've TLC matches. They've done it all with him. Do you think Edge could be Roman Reigns' first title defense in a non-gimmicked match?
Maybe. Perhaps.
I mean, the story is so good. I mean, if they put Roman Reigns over, he'll be like super heel at WrestleMania, like super heel solidified. But man, that would be like Yeslemania all over again. I think, if they tell the story correctly, they don't overexpose Edge, they don't do too much silliness, like kind of like what they did with Drew McIntyre, where it was like, it really was like a feel good moment. And even though the Royal Rumble, like part of the problem with the Royal Rumble in recent years is that it's in January and WrestleMania is at the beginning of April. Years ago, you could have the Royal Rumble be in January and build to April, and it would crescendo and reach a fever pitch. But that was when you were doing, a 2-hour Raw. Later on they would add in a SmackDown, but it didn't feel like too much. And they had the characters and they had the creative where it would crescendo. And by the time they finally got to WrestleMania, it's like, oh, finally, this match is happening.
So you're saying now it's too much time?
It's way too
much.
Well, they've conditioned
the circumstances of
this is an
WWE's running now.
This is an instant gratification fan base. So to have to wait for a match, but usually by the time they get to WrestleMania, I mean, think about what happened to Shinsuke Nakamura in 2018, where by the time he got to face AJ Styles, they were telling you, "Oh, it's a dream match. This is the dream match. This is going to be an amazing match," and they were telling you that for months. And by the time it got there, you were expecting, Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect. You were expecting some kind of, immaculate match. And when it wasn't, it was like, this match stinks.
I think for me,
even though it was a good match, this match stinks. It was more like CM Punk versus Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 28 than Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect.
I think that, for me personally, I agree with you, but then I disagree with you where I think it depends on which storyline you're looking at. I think there's certain ones that are kind of like a home run. Doesn't matter. It could be like basically not from January to April. It could be even longer than that. And you want to see it, and no matter what, it's just going to be good. Like anything with Drew McIntyre up until April with WrestleMania, I think it will be a home run, but then you get some other stuff that are kind of in between, and you're like, ugh, okay, that kind of, that build is not going to be like the best, but
the only thing that made me think that maybe, just maybe, they're going to do Drew McIntyre versus Edge was the fact that they seem to have really accelerated the Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre match. They were actually, it seemed like when they started teasing this thing back in November that it was just going to be like a throwaway feud. Like, like, oh, we're just going to tell them in 2 segments that they're friends, and then he'll turn on him and they'll have a match at TLC. And it's like, well, where's that build? Like it's now they're friends. They've been friends for 20 years. Like, tell me the story.
Yeah, let me know.
So they have been telling the story in a way, like Drew McIntyre has actually proven himself to be the worst friend on the face of the planet. Sheamus, I mean, there was at one point Sheamus was tied upside down and getting chair shots to the chest and the balls.
Faces are the worst friends of all time.
Drew McIntyre didn't go out there to save him, not once, and it was against somebody he was facing at the pay-per-view, AJ Styles.
Terrible
Faces
friends.
Are horrible friends.
Horrible.
Friends. But I really thought, like, if they're gonna do, and this is before obviously they announced Edge was returning at the Royal Rumble, which they of course announced late into last week's show, unadvertised, by the way, an unadvertised appearance. I was like, oh, it would be great, like like every now and then they give like the faces, like the tag team titles just to kind of further the storyline a little bit. Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, their 20-year friendship. Why not have them face like the Hurt Business at Elimination Chamber, if they're doing Elimination Chamber this year, or Fastlane, and have them win the titles, and then the Drew McIntyre shows him up or whatever, and you get this like really good story that'll crescendo at WrestleMania, and instead they just pulled the trigger tonight. I mean, there's enough for Sheamus to kind of go with for a story and say like, you were a horrible friend. And it would be very hard to refute that, but it just seems too fast. Like they could have done a little more. And
well, I had
now
Sheamus.
I wonder what the plan is for Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania.
I had Sheamus, if you remember from last week. I had him as the Rumble winner.
Yes.
So based off of kind of just things that were taking place within their storyline. So, I mean, it wouldn't have been so far-fetched, obviously, for him to win. But like you said, announcing Edge, it makes a lot more sense now,
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to have you talk about the opening segment a little bit. And I do want you to bring your point across of what you did mention on Twitter. Because I think it was a very good one.
What did I even say?
I know about Sheamus and how, like, him being on, like, the back burner, like, it's like...
Yeah. I mean, because Drew McIntyre already agreed to give him a match, so whatever the next pay-per-view is, they'll do that match there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you're going to give away a match that you could have done at WrestleMania, you're not going to do it at WrestleMania. You're not going to do it at WrestleMania. What's the plan? Is it really going to be Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania? I mean... Yeah, I mean, like, that'd be an interesting match because they have made Bobby Lashley so untouchable. I mean, to the point where a few weeks ago I was like, maybe Bobby Lashley is the one that wins the Royal Rumble because nobody really emerged from the pack this year as potential winners until like very late. I was thinking like, oh, it's a slam dunk, it's Daniel Bryan, but it wound up being Edge, who was the definition of a dark horse entrant. Like again, unadvertised, didn't know he was going to be in the match until last Monday. Like I was like, well, they've been protecting Bobby Lashley for months. No one's gotten over on him. They did like a quick roll up pin with Riddle at the beginning of the year. That was just so stupid and short sighted and meant nothing for Riddle because he's been getting murdered. But I think from a story perspective, I still think that Sheamus versus Drew could have gone on a little more, and it would have been I think that would be a better story to tell at WrestleMania. I'm not sure. I mean, we'll give it time and see what they do, but I think it's probably going to wind up being Lashley versus McIntyre. And other than the fact that it's just like, other than the fact that it's just two big guys going at each other, what's the story there?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I would have liked them to marinate it a little bit more.
Right.
Before,
right.
they
and honestly, the last time that they had a match, Extreme Rules, it wasn't that good. It wasn't. I mean, yeah, they were doing too much gimmicky stuff. Or I forget if it was Extreme Rules or if it was Backlash. It might have been Backlash. I think it was McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler at Extreme Rules, if I remember correctly. But the Backlash match wasn't that good. I don't remember it being that good. So we'll see. We'll see what they do.
We'll see.
We'll see what they do. But at the very least, you can't say that they're not going this year at WrestleMania. It appears that they are going with what they've got. They are going with their roster. And I've been begging them to do that for years, and they're finally going to do it. And they're even bringing people in to see this. So it's so like, people could turn on it, but I highly doubt they will.
No, they won't.
But for the love of God, like go with your talent. Stop trying to, throw a blanket onto the fire and say like, oh, well, WrestleMania was great. See, like but it's like sold on the back of, somebody that was famous 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They never ever run with their current stars. And this WrestleMania feels like it's being set up to just be current stars. Maybe they'll have a Goldberg match in there, but I honestly, if they have any hope of getting fans back in the arenas in the fall, like I think Survivor Series has to be like the big welcome back fans. Let's just pile everything into this card and just have a great, just have like, a total fan servicing fest.
Well, I think that.
So maybe you don't burn Goldberg's second match of his 2 matches that he's contractually obligated for per year. And you put Goldberg in a squash match at Survivor Series or whenever it is they get people back.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good idea. If this is actually a great opportunity for them, to see that they don't have to have all like the glitz and the glam and everything else in order to put on a good show. You can definitely rely on the individuals that you do have in your roster to put, make a good WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Get a different WrestleMania for sure. Definitely a different WrestleMania, not because of using their roster necessarily, but just because of the world, right? And what we're going through. But this is a great opportunity. And especially, too, I mean, granted, everything could change. I know they do have their date set and their location set for WrestleMania in the future and everything. Maybe, though, just maybe, we will get these 2-night WrestleManias.
Oh, God, I wish. I wish they would do that.
I'm not throwing it completely off the table. I do think the more that they feel comfortable with it, again, they're doing it this year, right? For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I think that they'll be able to kind of get that happy balance of like, if you do want to bring in somebody of the past, like just to kind of like, give everybody like this wow and dazzle them and whatever, fine, great, awesome. But the 2 nights will allow you to bring more opportunity for your current roster to be really showcased.
Yeah.
And more motivation throughout the year to be like, okay, I'm not going to be,
Right. Well, I mean, you hear from all these like, former superstars and some, even say it while they're on the roster that like, yeah, it sucks that, these spots are being taken from, people who worked all year, and it's true. It's like,
it's very true.
Yeah. It's good for the fans, but it's not at the same time. 'Cause it's just fool's gold that the company keeps going back to just to say like, oh, see the fucking, house isn't on fire. It's not burning all around us. Everything's totally good.
And to play devil's advocate here, I think, but it has to be somebody deserving on the roster too. It can't just be like, oh,
no. Well, no, they are definitely going with that. Like Bianca Belair, and whoever else they're going to pick. I really think that they're going to build them up very, very nicely.
Let's just put it this way. I don't need to see somebody like Ricochet necessarily like have this,
I don't think
main match on WrestleMania.
I don't think Ricochet is going to all of a sudden emerge and be an entertaining character or even a good professional wrestler.
What I'm saying is
because you don't have to because they actually I think they're going to go with the people that they're pushing currently.
Yes,
Ricochet is
not
absolutely not one of those.
What I'm saying is like though in the future, right? If they do wind up doing 2 WrestleManias, don't just get matches for the sake of just getting matches. Put thought into it. And have people who are deserving of a spot.
Yeah. Actually, what could be very interesting is if Drew McIntyre does wind up facing Bobby Lashley or whoever he faces and loses the title of WrestleMania, McIntyre's one and only appearance in front of a paying audience would be at that WrestleMania as the WWE champion. I mean, with a paying audience as the WWE champion would be his one loss as the WWE.
I have to say, like,
it could be.
But
it's also nice that Edge is going to have, finally have a match where he's in front of people. It's like his comeback was totally killed by this pandemic.
Yeah,
it really stinks for him.
I just want Drew McIntyre to have like the longest run at this point, because he is somebody who I look at, and I just felt like when this pandemic hit, I'm like, ooh.
I know.
I feel very, very badly for you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel bad for a lot of people.
Of course. But when I looked at, like the documentary that they had, I'm like, no. Like when he's sitting in that car and he's like, yeah, I would be champion during a pandemic.
Yeah, of course. He goes, well, my career's never been easy, so of course I'll become champion during a pandemic. Tyler Upson's here. He's signaling for Brock Lesnar. Me and Doug talked about this on Wrestleview Live last night. Even though it's WrestleMania, it really fiscally doesn't make much sense to bring Brock Lesnar in at this point. And also, again, you have to go with what you got. I don't think that we need Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. I am absolutely not going to rule that out because, Vince is funny. He'll do something that makes sense now and then overthink it, have a couple of power bars and, sit on the tread, start doing some squats and stuff like that and go, well, God damn it. No, fuck, this is terrible idea. No, go call up the Undertaker, call up Brock Lesnar. We got to get everybody here. And, it could change in a heartbeat. It absolutely could. Yeah, but for right now, until they can get full capacity, consistent arenas filled with people, I don't think you bring Brock Lesnar back before then. And I'm not even sure Brock wants to come back the way things are going right now. I'm not even sure. So that stands, but you can't rule it out. Anyway, this is a good opening segment. If they redirect and they do go for Edge versus Drew McIntyre, I do like that Edge was kind of like, ridiculing McIntyre for saying you should be kicking my head off right now. Instead, you're giving me compliments, and it's definitely like, Drew McIntyre has been the baby face, like when he came out after the COVID thing and made his speech, and it was really uplifting. It was really nice. He's like, oh, he always looks in the camera and says, oh, we did this together. We did this. For Edge, it would be an interesting story for Edge to be pushing McIntyre to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
So if you wind up doing face versus face WrestleMania, McIntyre has that out that he can work the match as a heel while still technically being a face because Edge pushed him to be more aggressive.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, they've set themselves up for Vince to have a bipolar moment and totally switch everything around. So they definitely have Edge versus Drew McIntyre. They can lay that groundwork very easily. They can go back to that very, very easily. Or they can do Edge versus Roman Reigns and be totally fine as well.
Either way, if you had Edge versus Roman Reigns, Edge versus Drew McIntyre, you're set.
Yes. Either way, they are.
You're set.
Yeah. Either way, they're protected from the mindless brain droppings of the Looney Tunes 75-year-old that is still in charge of this company.
Obviously, just being that the Rumble, I thought, in my opinion, was pretty good last night, right? But always a little weary. Obviously, we're a segment, you're getting somebody who's talking, right? But anytime like it's Drew McIntyre coming out, I'm like, yeah, okay, we're gonna be good. And then when Edge came out, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be fine.
Well,
and then it really drove it home when their interaction between the two of them.
And under the championship reign of Drew McIntyre, they have definitely cut down on the 20 to 30 minute Seth Rollins diatribes that kill the show dead at the start of it. Partly because there's no crowd there, and it's like, well, God, it's already a hard show to watch without a crowd there. Get right to the action. Just do it. If you want to do a promo, just lay that down real quick and then get to the action. That's what they've been doing.
Absolutely.
So I cannot argue with that. Why is anybody mentioning Seth Rollins in this chat room right now? God, he is awful.
Mentioned right now?
Daniel Shell saying Seth versus Daniel Bryan. Oh my God, like that would be.
Where did that come from? Who started?
I mean, it very well could be Seth versus Daniel Bryan because he's the one who eliminated him from the Royal Rumble last night. But I don't want to see that. Honestly, I mean, like Edge versus Roman Reigns. It's a good match. Reigns is the ultimate heel. Edge beating the ultimate heel at WrestleMania would be a great moment, in a very feel-good story. But Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, I was kind of geared up for that. I was really excited about that. Daniel Bryan doesn't disappoint at WrestleMania, but Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins is as bad as Seth Rollins is as a character. And granted, he's been gone for 2 months. Maybe they maybe they're going to do the same thing that they did with The Fiend, where, okay, it's not working out. Let's back off of it a little bit. I mean, obviously they're still balls deep with The Fiend, but they've been showing restraint. Maybe they're going to show some restraint with this Messiah crap, and just kind of like, okay, let's just let's hold off on that, and let's let Seth Rollins kind of speak for himself and have a really good match against Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, because Seth Rollins obviously is very good in the ring. That's never been an issue. It's always been a character, which again, I always laugh when I think about Seth Rollins, because it was like he was your guy, and then once the Messiah thing started, you're like, you couldn't get him off the TV fast enough, right? Because you were just so over it. Like,
oh god, yeah, Seth Rollins was just brutal. But I still say that The Fiend is the absolute worst thing to happen to Raw since 3 hours. Since they went to 3 hours, I think this is the worst thing that they've done since.
You're so funny.
But Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan, it could be a great match. But man, when you're thinking Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns, it's a step back. It definitely is.
There are,
it would be like if they did Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus at WrestleMania 30 instead of Daniel Bryan in the main event.
Yeah, what's funny? There's so many things around this time where like you could pick and choose and kind of make like your dream matches and whatever, but I do find with this roster, at least, with some people, it is like there are a lot of options. But then when you do have in your mind a certain individual, you're like, oh, but I want that person. Oh, but I want that person. You know what? Oh, why don't they all just go for it?
No, well, Santa Claus can't come on every show either. No. So, there's that. But also, just to springboard from what you just said there, it's kind of nice that it's not like, oh man, wouldn't it, like I don't see a lot of people saying like, oh God, wouldn't it be great if so-and-so faced The Rock instead, or so-and-so faced Sting, or so-and-so faced The Undertaker.
Yeah, again, relying on people who were there already.
People are actually making dream matches with the people that are
roster.
Currently employed by this company and currently working for them. So that in and of itself is a step in the right direction, without question.
We're making progress, people.
We're making progress. Who's not making progress is Matt Riddle. He is just getting destroyed left and right by Bobby Lashley. I mean, you knew that this was going to be the finish the entire time. I didn't think that. I mean, it made sense for Lashley to kill him and get disqualified, and then kill him some more, and then kill him dead. Because he was mad about losing the Royal Rumble. I actually generally, I'm not a big fan of like, okay, they built up this fucking match for a while and it ends in like 3.5 seconds, with a DQ on top of it. But this one made a lot of sense because it establishes now Bobby Lashley gets eliminated from the Royal Rumble. Yep. Definitely a blemish on his record, because he's been untouchable for the past few months, and he's mad. And he kills Riddle so bad that when they came back from the commercial break, Riddle's going, who did I face? He was totally gone. He had no idea what happened. He was wrestling.
Wasn't hokey. Like,
no.
It wasn't a thing where, like, he's being like that, like, tool, like, like, oh, like, where am I, bro? Like, it was legitimately like, where am I? I just had this beat down and I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed because I don't need Riddle being like that, like, tool where constantly it's just like, oh, bro, yeah, bro, yeah, bro, yeah, bro. Like, no, like, do more to what you
Yeah, no,
here.
But getting eliminated from the Rumble last night, killing Matt Riddle like this is the Bobby Lashley. I mean, if you are going to set up Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, this is the Bobby Lashley that you want Drew McIntyre to face. Mm-hmm. That was an effective segment where they had a match that turned into an effective segment overall. Yeah. Like the finish made sense.
Yes.
And Bobby Lashley looks like an absolute beast. So that's pretty good. That's some really good stuff. A good Randy Orton promo backstage. You know, I love the twisted logic of him saying how much he loves Edge's family and you know, I gave you RKO as a punt kick. I even RKO'd your wife all because I love you, man. It's like that was a great
that like gaslighting mentality of, you know.
But this promo was the first inclination that we had that Edge was going to battle Randy Orton on this show. Wouldn't that have been like, you know, I mean, granted, they're not going to obviously tell you, you know, last week, you know, or even build up throughout the week that's going to be Edge versus Randy Orton on Raw when you have the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it have been nice, like earlier in the day, you start releasing on social media that you put it on your website that Edge is going to battle Randy Orton, a WrestleMania rematch? What is the deal? Like, why don't I don't understand like the thinking behind their lack of advertising.
Everyone on me.
What do they think? Like, people are going to just like tune in and just hope that they get something? No, they want to, like, most of the time, especially with this, again, instant gratification society, we want to be told, you know, you're going to get this ahead of time. They don't want to tune in and wait to see what they're going to get.
It's funny. Everybody was kind of like, a few months ago, they were like, oh, Victoria, like the social media and whatever. And it's not necessarily social media. It is the advertising. But I almost wonder if there was like a key person in advertisement that they had to let go for some odd reason, or that individual had
they definitely, there have been departments that have been ravaged.
You know, and I almost wonder if like that's the, you know, that key advertiser, like, you know, is no longer with them. Well, and like, you know, it kind of took a nosedive a little bit, and they're like, oh shoot, you know, because you do, obviously that's why they have those departments for that reason, you know.
Oh yeah.
You can't, you know, let's put it this way, Vince essentially can't think of everything, you know what I mean? So, and especially,
well, he wasn't involved in tonight's show either tonight, so.
And social media is not his forte, you know.
Well, he's an old man.
And no, of course not, but I almost wonder, like, this is like a key example of like they are definitely suffering from a short of staff in their advertising department.
Well, there's no question about that. You know, also, I mean, like, you know, they cut a lot from their website budget, as you know, for like 5 months, the WWE Superstars page had the wrong photo of people. Like it had them in a different gimmick, or or you click on their profile and they were holding a title that they no longer held
for like years.
And there was a coding issue that made the Cruiserweight Championship photo so much bigger than everybody else. It was like the weirdest thing on earth. I was like, can someone fix this? It was like 5 months like that.
Yeah, it was.
There was like 5 months, but this is more of a symptom of they're just writing the show as it goes.
No, for sure, but
like,
you know,
they don't finalize anything on Monday Night Raw before it starts.
But if you're still writing the show, you still in theory could like know about certain things ahead of time.
No. They don't. I'm telling you think it's like hyperbole to say like, oh, they write the show, you know, as it goes. It's like, oh yeah. It's like, yeah, they don't have anything. No, they really are.
No, I know.
They really are.
But
it's like they're working to the end there. But anyway, that's just my little gripe. That's just that's told
no
nothing
rant?
thing.
No,
there's no rant on that. I don't give a shit.
I'm joking.
It's their business, not mine. It's their business, not mine.
Chill.
Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston's good to see him back. He got physical tonight, so hopefully that jaw injury is already clearing up and we can get him back, because I just love me some Kofi Kingston. Retribution, for almost its entire existence, has made no fucking sense. Has been one of the worst wrestling stables that has ever existed. They have absolutely had like the worst push, the worst debut. Everything that could go wrong with this has gone wrong. There's only one story that makes any sense for this. You know, it doesn't make sense for Dominik Dijakovic to say that he was held down when he was in featured spots everywhere on NXT. Certainly can't say he was held down. Mia Yim, the same thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe Shane Thorne, but Shane Thorne is just so vanilla and blah.
Like,
Maybe the whoever was the commentator, what the hell's his name? I forget. Dio Madden. I always forget his damn name. Who's Mace now? Maybe he has like some kind of gripe that, you know, kind of makes sense against the company that he was doing color commentary and they took him off. But the only person who actually had something happen to him on this roster that definitely derailed his career a bit was Mustafa Ali. And the only story that makes sense for Mustafa Ali is Kofi Kingston. And that's the entire that's the only thing that could ever make sense for Retribution. I think after they do Mustafa Ali versus Kofi Kingston, I don't think anything else is going to make sense for them, and they just need to disband.
Yeah.
But
I like,
this is actually a good story for Retribution and for Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods.
Yeah. It's nice. It's kind of coming full circle. And because when you mentioned your tweet tonight about how, when Kofi Kingston does come back, you would like to see him against Ali. And I agree with that because I always think about that time that Ali couldn't compete and then Kofi Kingston stepped in.
Yep.
And then Kofi Kingston was on that upswing, yep. Of
absolutely
going, towards whatever. What are you doing?
Moving your computer a little bit over.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
so that comes full circle.
Well, also, then you remember at Fastlane 2019 when Mustafa Ali came back and they booed him, and then all WrestleMania plans were canceled for him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
So
So there's a good story there. There's a good story that is waiting to be told there. Yeah. So that makes sense. They have, as they call him, Xavier Woods, beat Mustafa Ali with a distraction from Kofi Kingston. It's good stuff. Good stuff. I had no issue with this tonight at all. Mm-hmm. Next segment is Miz TV with special guest Bad Bunny. Now, there's no question, I was not into the Booker T song last night. It's not even like, it's like, I don't get modern music and stuff like that. I just didn't think it was a good song. Like, just because an artist comes out with something doesn't mean it's an automatic slam dunk. Like, I get it. Bad Bunny's a big wrestling fan, but I don't know. Booker T just didn't really get me, like, get my toes tapping or anything like that. I wasn't, exactly like, oh, this is a great song. It's got a great beat. It's got just was there. It felt low energy to me. Very low energy. But Bad Bunny was actually really good in this. You can tell that he's like a real fan. It's been documented the guy is like a WWE super fan. There's pictures of him backstage, superstars coming to his concerts and stuff like that, and they're backstage with him. The guy gets the business. And I thought he did a good job. I thought I didn't get a chance to talk about it last night on the show, but I thought that crossbody was actually really well done on Miz and Morrison. Yeah, they protected the hell out of him, but he did the little extra he his ribs, and he sold it. He sold it like I just took them out. Like, that was good. And that's what you want.
Can Bad Bunny be a superstar instead of being a rapper? Like, I think that would be I think he should do a career change. I do.
Well, it's his dream. I think overexposing us on Bad Bunny might not be a good thing, but
no, I do. I really.
I actually thought he had a good showing in this. I thought he was good. I like that Miz was calling him Mr. Bunny. I thought Miz and Morrison were actually pretty funny in this tonight.
Here's the thing with Miz, and this I will say about him, and again, this is not just because I love him. He brings out the best sometimes in like these guest stars that come onto the show.
You put him with the guest stars because he's a steady hand.
Yeah, he's a steady hand, but he kind of gets it because he didn't start out in wrestling, And again, that was always his end game. Like, he definitely, since he's a kid, he really wanted to be a wrestler. But he started off in another realm of entertainment with reality television, So he kind of gets the whole, like, okay, he's friends with musicians. He has a wide range of friends, The Miz, So he really knows how to talk to people. But I think he's always a good, like, hand for these type of segments when you get, like, a guest star like that. But the fact that he himself, Bad Bunny is a fan of the company, that really does help,
Yes.
You definitely want more people like that who are going to be on your show if you are going to have like a guest appearance like that. So yeah, I wasn't a fan. I'm not a fan of his music. And if you are, good for you. Not my cup of tea. But he had a good showing tonight. And I thought, so that's why Uncle Bill, you're on the list tonight. Cause I don't know. He's like, oh, I don't like it. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Well, Andrew Elder says that this was his bathroom break for him.
Andrew, what? Oh my God.
The only downer on this was Damian Priest being involved. Actually, believe it or not.
But
look, I like Damian Priest. I thought
I have a good butt. I have a butt after you speak.
Give your butt first.
No. You go ahead.
I like Damian Priest when he was on NXT. He was a heel. He was clipping people in the knee with a nightstick and stuff like that. He had a pretty good match against Keith Lee. Then they inexplicably turned him face. He doesn't look like a face. This is going to be like Sasha Banks all over again, where it's like Sasha Banks is a good heel character. And then, she comes up to Monday Night Raw and they are forcing her to be a face. They are just forcing it. Like now she's a face. It's not as egregious as it was back then, where it's like this girl, like there are certain characters that can just never be faces. I still say Sasha Banks is a career heel, not a face. And when they did turn her heel last, 2 years ago, I guess now, or a year and a half ago against Becky Lynch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was effective, and I thought she was really good. I don't think that they went as far as they could have with that, actually.
Yeah, they explore more.
They could have done more with that heel turn. I liked the thing with Bayley and stuff like that, where she was the sidekick. I still think that Sasha could have stood on her own as a heel,
for sure,
and done more. But the Bayley thing definitely helped her out in this face turn. There's no doubt about it. She's more effective as a face after. Because there was a storyline progression to it. Yeah. It makes sense that she's a face now. But goddamn, they forced for 3 years Sasha Banks to be, sweet and meandering face, and it just didn't work. It was brutal. It was brutal to watch, and obviously you could tell that toward the end she wasn't into it, to the point where she walked away for quite some time.
Absolutely.
Damian Priest is not a face. He just isn't.
No.
And they have him being the kind of face where it's like, oh, he's a big man, and the only way, that he can really stand out, even though he has a great look and he's got a unique presence, we have to have him do flips. We have to have him do flips because that's what's going to make him stand out. Damian Priest is no high flyer. Sorry. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Stop trying to make it happen.
Stop trying to make this a thing. Now, this is Damian Priest's own fault. This is what he came in with from Ring of Honor when he was or whatever his name was. I forget what it was. But Ring of Honor, it was very much the same thing that he was doing there. With these flips that he doesn't really. Punishment Martinez, that was his name. He doesn't rotate well. So he'll go for a somersault senton and he'll over rotate, land on his tailbone. Like with a guy with that frame, when he lands hard. If he does a springboard off the ropes into the ring, he's landing hard on his upper back, and then his lower back slams down after. These are not, this has disaster written all over it. He's going to under rotate at some point and land too high on his upper shoulders, and bad shit can happen. We talked about, last night, me and Doug talked about on Wrestleview Live 86 that, and we've talked about as well many, many times, dives are fool's gold.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's lazy storytelling.
I remember you guys talking about
lazy
that last
storytelling.
Night. Yeah.
It's lazy work.
I agree with you.
It's a pop for the sake of a pop that means nothing to the match.
It's the instant gratification crowd that you think that you think you're being entertained, but really at the end of the day, it's dangerous.
Right.
Doesn't need to be in every show, every match, every whatever.
Right. How much more effective was it when Carlito at the end of the tag match, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, gave Jackson Riker a baseball slide, to prevent him from coming in the ring, then we have to have him do a flip over the top rope and land on him, or suicide dive. Yeah. The baseball slide was just as effective, and it was 15,000 times safer. Yes, I have seen people slide on the mat and break their leg. Neville did it a couple years ago in a match against Chris Jericho. But the chances of that happening, a freak accident like that happening, are so much smaller than doing all these stupid fucking dives that mean nothing. Look what happened to Ivar. That in and of itself should have been enough for this company to say, you know what? We have to slow ourselves down on the dives.
I think we just have
Instead, they're doubling up. And it's like, that's the next thing. If they start going with Bianca Belair and young talent and stuff like that, the next thing they got to focus on is get back to the business of telling a story in the ring.
Yeah,
get back to the business of getting people to watch a match and get into it because there's a story being told and everything makes sense. If you're going to kill yourself on a dive, it better make sense. If Big E's going to spear somebody off the apron and almost spike himself on his head and blow his shoulder out in multiple big matches, that better play into the finish. It cannot be. They got to stop with these throwaway spots that are legitimately dangerous, that will have these people walking with a limp at 45, and get back to the business of storytelling, because Randy Orton has never done a somersault senton in his entire goddamn life, but he's been on top for 20 years. Tell me how that's possible.
We have to condition people to stop thinking that we need these big spots or, these, and again, because they're not special anymore. There's really no... If a majority of your roster is doing the same type of dive or the same sort of, move set, it doesn't become anything worth, really looking into. Yeah, maybe for like a split second, you're like, oh yeah, cool, that guy went off the top rope like that, whatever, or did a dive. But in the long run, it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't help anybody.
Right.
So it should be an opportunity for us to kind of like condition the audience again, where you don't need that type of entertainment. The one thing I was going to say before about Damian Priest, now listen, I'm being honest here. I don't watch NXT religiously. I don't. Mm-hmm. When you do recap it, I watch, and I was watching it more like a few months ago. I was watching it every week. So I don't know a whole lot about him, but I will say this, I thought he had a pretty good showing tonight, for considering that a debut match for him. Mm-hmm. But it was pretty good, like you said,
it was. I thought it was a good match.
That's fine.
I thought it was a good match, but stop trying to make him like a high flying savant.
No, I know.
He's not.
Right.
Let him be him.
Right, and I agree with you.
Or hold him back.
Saying, I think that and just based on what you told me about his character. If obviously you're saying he's more fit to be a heel, I would have to agree. Just by his look, even in general, he doesn't really scream face to me, Mm-hmm. So, and even so, he faced somebody like The Miz tonight, right? Who's a heel, but he's a different kind of heel. Damian Priest could have come in as a heel and still faced a heel. Right. It wouldn't have been like, oh, okay, that's weird. They're two different type of heels.
Yeah.
If they were to go that route. So I am kind of curious to see what they're going to do with him.
Right.
Maybe they will bite the bullet and just say okay, we have to quickly turn him heel before his debut and his coming up to the roster just turns pretty quickly, before everyone just loses interest in this guy.
Right. Anthony Manzano saying, I think why the younger generation prefer the Lucha Libre style wrestling with all the flips is because they find that Randy Orton's wrestling style is too bland and they lose interest.
I think with Lucha Libre, though, it's different. So
Lucha Libre...
that type of... the reason why... Okay,
high flying... answer this. Yeah, then go on. Yeah.
High flying is within their character. Again, that's kind of like it makes sense to me. Yeah, the kids enjoy it. But I think there's so much more than just the high flying stuff. I think it's the high energy in the ring. And I think it's also the way that they kind of interact with the crowd also. Right. But that to me, their style of wrestling, when you're in that culture, kind of makes sense to me, But I don't think a random person like a Damian Priest should be doing these high fly stuff.
Well, let me just put it this way. They've been doing more and more dives, and they've been losing more and more people watching through the years. So the dives aren't what is keeping people watching. Randy Orton is an effective wrestling personality. I don't care that the internet doesn't like him sometimes. This is the same internet that was saying that Randy Orton was doing before this Fiend bullshit. The internet was also saying that Randy Orton was doing some of his best work in years. Now, there certainly has been an issue with Randy Orton in the past where he's been complacent and he doesn't work as hard. But at the end of the day, there's no denying that Randy Orton is a main eventer and has generated a lot of money from cards that he's been part of the main event on. There's no question about that. He's effective and he doesn't do any dives. and people, you say that people are going to lose interest if they don't start doing dives. I'll go back to the example that I used last night. The internet loses their mind for anything out of the Tokyo Dome, any kind of Japanese wrestling. It's like, oh my God, this is the best thing that's ever happened because Dave Meltzer told me so. But Kazuchika Okada uses a short arm clothesline as his finish. Doesn't do many dives. It's just stiff, hard-hitting wrestling, and he uses a short arm clothesline to finish off his opponents. So it's a double standard. You don't need to do flips. I think it's just really what it is. It's just systemic of a wrestling culture that has people that have never done it, that have never been successful, are opening up wrestling schools and using whatever name they created in a bigger company to take hapless young people who are going in there with a dream and, flying on eagle's wings to, oh my God, this person's going to make me a star. And then they teach them all the wrong shit. And we've had too many of these coaches that are opening up wrestling schools that have never done it and are a whole bunch of, you can't even say they're has-beens, they're never were's, teaching these people this is the style you got to work, and they're doing it. And then you have a whole bunch of idiots that are, like a small group of people that are like, oh, like you watch these indie shows and it's like these people lose their minds for all these flips, and somebody in WWE saw it and goes, oh, that's what we need to do. And it doesn't translate to a larger audience. Yes, they've conditioned people to think like, oh, flips are cool. But it at the same time, it has been to the detriment of the art of professional wrestling.
But I'm not watching a gymnastics match here.
Okay,
I don't want to watch the flips.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But you have to get back to the business of storytelling. And some of the best matches that that come out of Japan, and I am not at all saying that wrestling out of Japan is bad or it's overhyped. It is really good. When I watch Wrestle Kingdom, it's like I know I'm watching something special. But they're not doing 15,000 dives in that, and people are still losing their minds over it. They are telling a story in the ring. They are telling there's an effective story being told there. Every move plays into the next one and into the next one and the next one. It's really good stuff. What they're doing right now, American wrestling is in a hole because we have all these people being trained the wrong way by the wrong people. And, really what we need is like, people like Undertaker, like people that have actually made money doing wrestling to open up a wrestling school and give back a little bit, because we don't have any more legends or people that have done it in the locker room, except for like Randy Orton and Edge and, maybe like a select few others that are consistent to ride in the cars with these people or take them aside and say, this is what you need to do. This is, you're really good. You have something, but we need you to unlock this. Like what Undertaker did with the Big Show and turned him into an actual big man that is effective. Big Show was doing drop kicks and, and this and that and not playing to his size, not being an effective character. So somebody took him aside and said, no, this is what you need to do. And it took a long time for it to snap into his head, but he was like, you know what? Goddamn, you're right. You're absolutely right. And Anthony's asking, if Eddie Guerrero was around, and Eddie Guerrero could effectively teach somebody how to. It's a shame that he's not around. Eddie Guerrero would have been a very effective coach, and he would have, if he opened up a wrestling school, you would see some really effective people coming out of there. Lance Storm opened up an effective school. We had a lot of good come out of that. So, what do you want to say?
I think a big part of the problem with this culture of the instant gratification, but not only that, we spoke about this in length before. The fact that you don't have territories, the fact that you're not exposing individuals to, different styles of wrestling and kind of looking to see what fits for you. You're going to NXT. That's kind of like your one-stop shop of your training and what you're doing and what have you. But you really do need to look at Japanese wrestling, you look at like you said, the territories. Everybody has different styles. They're not exposed to that anymore. So you're not getting a true sense of like what really kind of works for you. You're just molding yourself into what you think you're supposed to be doing in the ring. And again, it's not to say that flips aren't like cool. They're cool, but I'm not going to a wrestling show to watch a gymnastics performance. You know, if I'll go to the Olympics and I'll watch that. You know, and
and you watch it only every 4 years,
right? And they have a time and a place for it. You know what I mean? You're like, ooh, awesome, great, fantastic. But when there's no purpose behind it and you're giving everything away on a Raw, again, not necessarily on the day after the Royal Rumble Raw, but like on your average every day, every week Raw, you don't need that type of stuff. Like, save your stuff for the pay-per-views, save your stuff for, and not even just every pay-per-view, like a bigger pay-per-view. You don't need that type of stuff. We've conditioned people where if they don't do certain things, but you can recondition people to thinking that you don't need that either. You just have to try it.
Right.
And you do have to have people, again, in different companies looking at how to wrestle. You don't have that anymore. So you are going to kind of see this, group of individuals who are going to have a very similar style, unless they are going to Japan or they are looking in the, I'm totally blanking when you go to like,
territories?
No. Somebody like the Lucha Libres, what's that style of wrestling? Like,
oh, strong style.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's different, but it works for Lucha Libres.
Yeah.
I don't need to see Damian Priest doing high flying flips off the top rope.
And if WWE makes this change, WWE, for professional wrestling, even though they don't fancy themselves a professional wrestling company, still they have a ring set up, and that is what the show is focused on. That's what it revolves around at the end of the day. If WWE changes their performers and starts booking matches with less dives and a little more storytelling, WWE for professional wrestling globally is like General Motors, or what General Motors used to be, where the motto is as General Motors goes, so goes the country. I think if WWE makes that change, it's going to trickle down into other companies and on the independent scene, and people might, if they're smart, if there's any smart trainers out there, which there's not a lot, if they're smart, they'll see what WWE is doing, and then they'll start teaching those people, okay, if you want to be successful, if you want to be successful, this is the style you got to work, and this is what we're going to teach you. And if you want to go do the flippy shit, go on the indie scene and do it, but don't expect to get signed by WWE and make some money.
Yeah, and I think again, with the lack of different styles, people don't really know. Like, if you're not a high flyer and you feel like, oh, that's what I have to do, then you're gonna kind of feel stuck.
All right. Well, now I'm going to completely contradict myself here. In a match that had a lot of high-flying stuff, the Hurt Business versus Lucha House Party.
But again, that makes sense.
But yes, everything they did made sense. But I also really just enjoyed this, partly because I was just getting a real kick out of Shelton Benjamin, and the guy is timeless. He's absolutely timeless. Shelton Benjamin was all over this, powering people up. He's 45 years old. He's been doing this forever.
He's great.
He is one hell of a talent. Really, seriously.
He really is.
Incredible talent.
He really is.
And I mean, I love Cedric Alexander. I love the edge that they put on him. I love that. I love what they've been doing with him. But man, Shelton Benjamin he was on fire. Great in this match.
He was on fire.
He was really great.
Not that he isn't on fire, but he really was like exceptionally good.
Yeah, and this was a really fun match to watch. It really, really was. Mm-hmm. I really just enjoyed it.
No doubt.
I don't know why the Lucha House Party were the number one contenders. That's just like
why not?
I don't know. So, somebody mentioned a ranking system earlier. I don't think a ranking system would work in WWE with Vince being so bipolar, but it couldn't hurt for some of the lower tier titles at least. Well, and now we're trying to figure out who's going to be the number one contenders for the women's tag team titles. So at least they had something where it's going to be established. This is why these people are facing them. We had a triple threat tag: Charlotte Flair and Asuka versus Lana and Naomi versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. This match sucked all kinds of suck because WWE triple threat tag matches are inherently they make no sense.
Never have.
The psychology is horrible. Why would you only have two people in the ring? And you would never go over to the corner of the people if this was like a real fight so they could tag themselves in. I don't care if you're going to fucking tear my leg off. I'm not going to be tagging in or allowing somebody from the other corner to tag in. Man. You know, and neither, and nobody would even, it's so nonsensical. It's ridiculous. It takes me right out of it. It's great to see Lana, not Lana, but Naomi get a win here.
I love Naomi.
But this match sucked.
I honestly like Naomi. You know, of course, like, you know, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch and like Ronda Rousey obviously like had reigned for a while, but next to somebody like the Bellas, I'm gonna say like Naomi's like my favorite. She always has been. Ever since, you know, I started watching and I watched her. There's something about her, the athleticism that she has.
I love her passion.
She's got a great attitude.
Love her passion.
She's just fantastic. And I feel like they just don't utilize her properly. She had that quick match at WrestleMania years ago when we were in Florida. And it was like, you know, getting a title and everything. I just feel like, you know, she's had missed opportunity after missed opportunity. It wasn't always her fault.
Right. She's battled back from a lot in the past year without question.
Fantastic in my opinion.
Having a surgery, losing a family member that took a toll on her. And honestly, you know, you talk about her being underutilized. She's still being underutilized here.
Of course
it's like this is like a total waste of time for her to be in a tag team match with Lana, who very well could be the main focus of that match because it's going to be against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and Lana's the one who's been tormented by them. It's like, why are we using Naomi in this setting? Like, she should be going after Asuka or doing something like that. It's a complete and total waste of her talent, and she's still underutilized.
In no particular order, but I think Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Asuka, right, and Ronda Rousey when she was in, right? I think that was like your top 4. You know what I mean? Like in terms of that current roster. There is no reason, and again, because of her being underutilized, that Naomi shouldn't have been in that top 5. Naomi easily could have been that like main girl up there.
Absolutely.
100%. And I sincerely hope they don't lose out on her for that reason, and they really got to get her to that point because she's up there with them.
Well,
she is.
It's getting to the point now with Naomi where it's time to either, you know,
I think
fish.
She want to have kids and stuff too. So it's
she's 30. She's 33 years old. You know, it's time to either sink or swim here. You're either going to utilize her properly and, you know, go with her fully, or you're not. You know. And I'm hoping that it's the prior and not the latter. Okay, she should be. I hope this thing with Lana doesn't last too long, and they have something with meat on the bone for her at WrestleMania, because she is, you know, she's been underrated, she's been underutilized, and it continues on. She hasn't made an appearance in a couple months, and she comes back and she's wasting her time with this. This is silly.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre grants Sheamus a match, a title match when he wants it. We have Jeff Hardy and Carlito versus Elias and Jackson Riker. Carlito did not get that physique from eating apples, I will tell you that. Man, this guy is... I mean, we talked about last night on Wrestleview Live, but he is jacked.
I mean, he is
gassed to the gills.
Looks great.
He looks great.
You know what's funny? Don't you remember like a few months ago I had a dream about him?
No, I don't remember this.
Yeah, no, I did.
I'm sure you're going to tell everybody now about your dream of Carlito.
No, I'm not going to tell everybody my dream because I don't remember the dream, but I do remember having a dream about him.
Right.
I'm like, yo, it would be nice to have Carlito back.
He looked good in this, and yes, there was a spot where he slipped, and it's really because like the only reason that he slipped, honest to God, from what I watched, and I had to rewind it because I was like, did he just trip? I had to rewind it and watch it again. He tripped because Jackson Riker is a horrible professional wrestler. He is garbage as a professional wrestler. He bumped way too early on the clothesline, and then as he was getting up, he took a bump on the back elbow and basically took Carlito down with the way he bumped. I mean, the guy sucks. He wasn't in the ring for long, and he fucked up that much.
Can I read your tweet?
Go ahead.
Nice to see Carlito back. You don't get a physique like that from eating apples. Carlito looked good, but got tripped up with sloppy footwork from Riker. To put it bluntly and honestly, Riker sucks in the ring and doesn't belong on the show, period.
I think that's good.
Perfect way to sum that up.
I think that's it. I think we're good there. So, but again, great to see Carlito back.
Yeah.
He's a guy he could have had a really great career. He really could have had a great career. There was a personality flaw there that prevented him from having a great career. I remember interviewing him in 2010 with Nick. And I remember saying to him, because he was talking about, debuting young in WWE and how he started from the top and then he just started slowly going down. Actually, I think it was 2011, maybe even when or was it 2012? I can't remember. Anyway,
I think it was 2011 because I remember the interview.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I said it's almost like your career is like, you peaked and it's just been like kind of like he goes, yeah, my career is going like the reverse. Like, you start from the bottom and work your way up. I started from the top and now I'm working my way to the bottom. We had a really funny exchange there. I'm surprised that he even entertained that comment from me.
Yeah, that question.
But there was a personality flaw there that prevented him from being, something really special. And he didn't take it seriously and he lost that platform. And now he's coming back and he looked good. He looked into it. He looked fired up to be there. He is in great shape. I don't know if some of it's chemically enhanced or not, but he looks to be in tremendous shape. There's a rumor that he wants to be a producer. Or he could, be a very effective, part-time performer on the roster, kind of like what MVP's doing, so we could have Carlitos Cabana and he could help make some stars. There is, there's a lot that you could do with Carlito and at his very core, he's still a great professional wrestler. Mm-hmm. Carlito comes from a lineage of really good wrestlers that are always criminally underutilized.
Do you have those interviews still?
Somewhere.
I was going to say, if you can find them, you should really post some of them on the site.
I gotta message Nick and see if he still has them.
Yeah, no, because I think that would be like a good little,
now that he's back. A flashback?
Yeah, now that he's back, it'd be a cool little thing to post.
Yeah. So Jeff Hardy and Carlito are victorious here. Jeff Hardy gets the pin with the Swanton Bomb. That just makes sense. All right. We have an Edge promo. Very, very good. Very, very good stuff. Edge is just tremendous. Edge is
on fire.
Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross. This sucked.
I'm not going to argue.
This is garbage. Like the magic tricks, the camera cuts. Good luck getting this shit to work, when you get people, in a crowd at WrestleMania. What are you going to do? Okay, everybody close your eyes while Alexa Bliss gets changed. And now when you open your eyes again, you have to pretend like she just appeared like this. Like these camera cuts, that's the one thing I'm glad about, bringing some people back to the stands.
Yeah, they can't do that.
Is they can't do this stupid fucking bullshit anymore with these camera cuts and her changing costumes. It's like, this sucks. This is death to wrestling. Again, there's a fucking couple of idiots online that are like, oh, I don't understand why you're saying that The Fiend sucks. It's the most entertaining and the only watchable thing on the show. It's like, you're the reason why professional wrestling in America is fucking dying. Okay, that's you are the reason.
Here we go.
Because you're an idiot. You don't understand fucking professional wrestling. You're dumb, and they got you because you're gonna buy all the fucking merchandise and you're gonna be the sucker at the end of the day. Not me, buddy. Not me. I'm not gonna fucking do it. I am not going for this. Alexa Bliss, this whole thing sucks. Luckily, it was kept short, so that's all I got to say about that.
Oh, short little mic rant, just for the moment.
I just want it out there that
just
people
want to put it out there for everybody.
You're an idiot. Like, I'm not everybody's an idiot. Like, there's some people that are enjoying this that are like, yeah, I get it. It sucks, but it's like I'm just I don't care about professional wrestling enough to not be entertained by it. I guess whatever. But it sucks. It's really, really bad. It's death television. It really, really is.
Tell us how you really feel.
I just did.
I just did.
Now the one thing that was definitely scary. Oh, I thought I put.
You're right.
You know what? I screwed up the title here. Thank you, Nafis. I'll fix the title after the show. So anyway, the one thing that they did that really scared me was Randy Orton made his entrance while Alexa Bliss was walking up the ramp, and he didn't make eye contact with her. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna bring back, the crispy guy, in this main event and screw us on, a WrestleMania rematch, and it's going like literally something like that. I hate, like they did a card subject to change storyline on SmackDown. But they do too many bait and switches on this show. Like, a couple of weeks ago, I was pretty pissed that they did a bait and switch with like, okay, we're going to have Goldberg on the show tonight, and they give you Gilbert. That's just not fair. Like if the rest of the show wasn't so phoned in and you gave us Gilbert, it's like, okay, fine. Yeah, but they weren't trying. Yeah. They were not trying throughout the night. Yeah. And then they give you Gilbert. It's like, you know what? Go scratch. Now we have
Mike's favorite phrase.
And now we have the main event, Randy Orton versus Edge. It's like, okay, this better not be one of those card subject change things, because with some kind of bullshit finish involving the Fiend, and Edge disappearing, because that's another go scratch moment. Especially because this is Edge's first match on Monday Night Raw since March 28th, 2011.
Crazy.
It's been almost 10 years since he's had a match on Raw. Crazy. Almost 10 years. If they waited until this coming March, it would be 10 years.
That's crazy to think about.
So if they were going to ruin it with some kind of bullshit finish involving the Fiend, you would have gotten a mic rant. You would have gotten a mic rant. Instead, we had a really great match with Edge and Randy Orton. They worked within the time limits that they were given, but it was effective. It was really good. It was emotional. It was intense. It was charged. Very, very good stuff. They did a little stupid fucking thing with Alexa Bliss at the end where she had some black liquid falling out of her mouth, which just means that we're going to get more of this Fiend bullshit in the coming weeks. But again, they showed massive restraint. That's all they did. They did a little camera cut, and then Edge speared him, and the match was over. And there was no more Fiend, no Alexa Bliss. It was just over. Edge wins. I'm actually okay with that distraction finish. It wasn't as offensive as I thought it was going to be, because I was actually thinking, oh my god, they're going to do a non-finish, and we're supposed to pretend that we're excited to see fucking Bray Wyatt, because I'm not.
Yeah.
This was a really good match. It was very effective. It was a good way to kind of send Edge off of Raw. So
absolutely, I don't really have much to say to add anything, honestly. It's just great to see Edge back. I feel like he's in his element, and it's just he's home. And
again, it would have been so effective if they had advertised, Edge last week was going to be on the show, and Edge, was going to be facing Randy Orton tonight and stuff like that. Like, there's certain things that happen that would be more effective for him. But it's nevertheless, it's good to see him back.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. What did you think of this episode of Monday Night Raw?
I am so excited right now.
I haven't even checked Twitter.
You want to know why I'm so excited?
Why?
Because this is the first show in a long, long time where I'm giving a confident thumbs up.
I am giving an absolutely solid thumbs up for this show as well.
That's exciting.
Let's see what Twitter thinks. I'm curious about what our friends in the chat room are going to say about it as well. I got to just fix this thing real quick, and then we can get to it. There we go. All right. So Twitter has it at an 81% thumbs up. It's at 80.6, but we just round up. 81% are giving it a thumbs up. This is the best reviewed Raw that we've had in quite some time.
Absolutely.
So that in and of itself just makes me very, 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 very happy. Let's see what everybody's saying in the chat room. Does Edge show up on Friday? Tyler is asking. Yes, they did advertise Edge for Friday Night SmackDown. Jamel saying the Edge is heading to NXT as a swerve. That'd be something.
He's just making his rounds.
Jamel gives us a double thumbs up here. Slight thumbs up from Daniel Schell. What a happy stream. This feels different on Monday night, Navis says. Quentin says, I loved it. 5 thumbs up. No Fiend equals a thumbs up from Jamel. Way up from Billy. This show, thumbs up. This show, except for the Miz part, thumbs up from Andrew Elder.
What, Andrew? What is your damage? My God. Andrew just wants the battle.
Yep. Machine Walls gives it a thumbs up. Let's see. Jorge Oliva, thumbs up for Raw. 2 thumbs for Raw recap. 4 thumbs up for the pie payoff. Raw post show, 69 thumbs up from Quentin. You want to go make the pie, or should I?
Why do I have to make it?
I'll go make it. I have no problem with that.
I don't even have a towel down here. I can't even wipe my face.
Chris LG, we didn't even know Chris LG was in the chat room tonight. Chris, hello, and he gives it a way up. Daniel Shell says Freaky Alexa always gets a thumbs up. Victoria, ban Andrew. He wants us to ban Andrew. All right, I'll go see if we have anything. Victoria, please, for a moment or two, just give us a chat.
I think I'm gonna have to call Andrew out and do a battle. I think on the next post Raw show, I think we're gonna have to really hash this out and settle this score here, because he really is just coming at me. Again, Uncle Billy was on the list tonight. I get it. Maybe not his cup of tea for the segment and everything else. Fine, that's cool. But Andrew has just been throwing blows at me, and it's getting a little too crazy. So we're going to have to settle this, Andrew. So meet me next week, and everybody else meet me next week to settle the score, because we are going at it. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but I am a-coming for you, because you really, really just not okay.
It's not okay, Andrew.
Not okay.
It's not okay. It's okay by me, but it's not okay for Victoria here. So, as promised, we do have pie. We certainly do. So, does anybody remember the picks that we made last week?
I don't think it matters.
Well, I just know that I'm pretty sure that it's you who's going to get the pie.
Oh, no, it's not.
Hold on. We have Shane Bradley here. Gives it 3 3/4 thumbs up.
Is everyone ready for my battle with Andrew next week?
I'm ready for this.
Is everyone talking about my battle with Andrew?
Graham Costume Crip says everything except for Bad Bunny, thumbs up. They want a snow pie. I'm not going outside in this cold and getting that crap.
Snow pie?
Like putting the snow on the.
No way. No way.
So, Victoria, are you ready for the pie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my dear.
I'm ready.
Please. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Go.
I'm ready. You're welcome.
Oh, my God. What the fuck, man? Dumb. Why did you do that?
Why did you do that to me?
Because you lost the bet. That's why you're the one who's supposed to get it.
No, you're getting pie tonight, my friend.
Well, I did. Oh my God. It was like really hard to breathe for like a second there. I was really scared. I was like really, I had
my glasses on.
Well, that blocked you. I'm not in good shape right now. That got fucked up big time. Okay. So that sucked. Although this is pretty good actually. Okay. That didn't go as planned, but you're wearing the punishment that you deserved. I got fucked here just now.
I'm not wearing any punishment. It wasn't fair. Okay?
I tried to give you the winner.
You didn't keep. I don't want to go on. I want to go on my own merit. Well, you getting it on the couch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I meant to do that. You're the one who put it on my fucking face.
Well, because you deserve it.
I didn't deserve anything.
You deserve everything.
You're the one who put this on my face. Now you're gonna fucking complain to me that I'm getting on the couch.
Yes.
Give me a break.
You know what we should put on the. You know what we should wipe our face with our curtains.
I'm gonna go outside and wash my face in the snow. Oh well, whatever. Everybody, thank you for joining us. I don't know how else to go. The show can only end now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Wrestleview Post Raw. Oh, my God. It's actually pretty good. It's really, really tasty.
You want to get another?
No, I'm good. Thank you now. If you put that on my fucking face, you're gonna sleep on the couch tonight with the whipped cream all over it.
Yeah, okay. Get over yourself.
Put that in my face again.
All right, everyone.
There's gonna be an issue.
Join us next week for the post Raw show number 114, where Andrew and I have a battle.
Wow, this is gonna be intense.
No, Andrew's getting it.
I'm excited. I think we have to have Andrew Elder actually make an appearance on next week's show. So Andrew, clear your schedule. We're gonna be calling.
You're busy.
You are busy next week. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. I am Mike Tedesco, the editor-in-chief of WrestleView.com.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Be well. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.